Showing me shaking my head and my negative nasty feel after that Buffalo game where they all I can tell you is Dolphins number one, baby!
Things up, baby.
Dolphins number one!
I swear, if a certain quarterback is mentioned in the comments, got my beers ready. I'm gonna crack it open.
Or is it the Serbian kid?
Serbian kid,
This looks done. Oh my god, it looks fantastic.
I'm the man. I said it, and it's reality. All right.
Congratulations.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Huddle Up and Wait. I am fired up. We're doing a Super Bowl preview. Got plenty of news to cover, like news that affects my agenda that is now dead and done. I'll make a new flyer for a new agenda later.
Just coloring the Broncos on it.
Actually, it's pretty close colors. Welcome. Dave, as always, is joining me. And with us today is another Dave. I'm surrounded by Daves today. It's all right. It's my father's name. I like it. Dave is of, you fill it in.
Yeah, I'm David Drogemeyer. I'm one of the co-hosts of the Locked On Chargers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We cover every NFL team, every NBA team, every NHL, pretty much all your major professional sports. We're doing shows on it 5 days a week, 365 days a year, man.
You guys are a legit network. I love listening to you guys. I know Kyle Krabs is doing Locked On Dolphins. No, I love it's great to have another network joining us and having fun with us. It's awesome. I mean, don't have to be rivals. We can all have fun together. I love it. So we're a little bit more laid back over here. I don't have a beer tonight because I'm battling this cold, unfortunately. So tell me
I'll drink a couple for you.
All right.
Hold on.
Depending on how this conversation goes tonight, I might get a few drinks. But while Dave's getting his beer, Dave, what do you are you looking forward to this Super Bowl? I mean, you got the Chiefs in, you know, we're gonna be a little biased here. Or?
Based on my picks last week at the championship, since I went 0-2 on the championship games, I'm gonna show a little or share a little quote of one of our awesome ideologists of our time. It says, so the Lama, he tells me, when you die on your deathbed, you'll receive total consciousness. So I got that going for me. That's all about I got right last week.
I was on Caddyshack.
Goddamn right.
I love it. We were starting off on a high note. I am here for it.
Carl Spackler all the way. I'm going to go ahead and just say I was shocked because the Bengals, I really thought the way the game was going.
Yeah.
Mahomes fumbles the ball. I thought they're going to go right down the field, put up a field goal, close out the game. And it didn't. Like the Bengals couldn't come through on this time. I was shocked. But, you know, hey, before we get into the review real quick, I just want to say something. So Dave being on here, perfect guy in the comments. Evan, we're just having Dave on here just to show you that Herbert is better than Tua. Okay? This is a Chargers fan.
I should have brought a spoon and a pot just so we can stir.
Oh, we're gonna stir this all night long, baby.
Yeah, sorry. Your Lord and Savior Emmanuel Alcho had to go out on a limb here and just profess his undying absolution for Tua Tagovailoa, and unfortunately, on the biggest stage on prime time, the Chargers and Justin Herbert thoroughly dominated the Dolphins, and I think we can all say that that's unfortunately what happened for you. I mean, it was great for me. I mean, I loved it. It was fantastic. But let's move on from that. Now that we got that out of the way,
not by the scoreboard at least.
But
quarterback.
You know what? I was let down by the Eagles and 49ers game. I know Purdy got hurt.
Yeah,
Shanahan's always come up with stuff in the past, so it kind of shocked me he didn't have a plan C, D, and E ready. So it really did shock me that he didn't have that ready.
He was already on C and D. I mean,
No,
with Purdy and Johnson.
Okay. E, G, F, G, Z didn't matter. Shanahan's always a guy that has a plan up his sleeve, and
yeah,
I was really shocked. And Philly just came out and smacked him in the mouth. So I was shocked that the Bengals didn't put up their usual W over the Chiefs, and I'm happy the Chiefs proved everyone wrong. Mahomes proved how damn good he is.
Hey, but that was fun. I mean, don't you just love seeing like the Chiefs are tired of losing to them, and they came out swinging, ready to hit them back in the mouth, and that's what made it fun. The Bengals come in here like this is our house until prove otherwise, and the Chiefs like not on our watch, and they went back and forth, and it looked like the game was going one way or another. That's fun football to me. I like that.
Yeah, the 49ers game, man, that's a really tough spot to be in. I mean, you're already going in with your third string quarterback, all right, and by all accounts, Brock Purdy played amazing. Being being Mr. Irrelevant to, leading the 49ers on a 11-game win streak.
12. They got the 12.
Yeah, there you go. 12-game win
games.
streak.
Wow.
And then, he gets hurt, and then we find out afterwards that it's basically a torn UCL, which is a major injury that, he literally could not throw the ball. And then for Johnson to be put into that situation where, understand, guys, he's not getting any reps during the week whatsoever. None. Zero. So to be able to get thrust into that moment, into the biggest moment of the entire season, and be asked to be able to perform at a really high level against that defense, that's a really, really tough ask. And you saw what happened and why that was exposed in that game. You can't throw the ball. I mean, I don't care how creative your rushing attack is, you're not going to be able to win.
Not in the slightest.
Nailed it right on the head.
I mean, and Greg Olsen, he kind of hit the nail on the head in the booth. He said, they've done so well, and they did really well with Brock Purdy and Josh Johnson. And of course, they actually looked like they might have had something going with Josh Johnson. Then he got hurt, but he said you can only do so much with the hands you're dealt, no matter how good you coach, no matter how good your system is. And at that point, it was just keep fighting, but it's all you got. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, that touchdown he had, that was beautiful. Yeah, I was like, he was going to go down with a fight. He wasn't just going to get kicked out of the playoffs. You know what I mean? So that was beautiful to see. But, it's just you can only do so much. And it's disappointing because I think 49ers, if Purdy doesn't get hurt, it's a different ballgame. Eagles still win, in my opinion, but it's definitely a different ballgame.
I mean, at least it would have been competitive. But, I mean, what that turned into was, just unfortunately a really just bad football game. I mean, the Eagles beat the brakes off of them, and it really wasn't much of a contest. But
and the 49ers defense could only do so much. They were on the field so much. They can't run 75% of the plays and not expect them to be gassed. At some point, the offense is going to win.
Well, they were asked to not only stop them from scoring points, but they were really asked to take the ball away and score points themselves because their offense was just not able to get anything going. So, and
their defense held the game close enough for a
long time. Yeah,
I mean that's why I said if Purdy was in, I think the game would have been a little bit different.
Well, if they had a healthy Jimmy G, he was just supposed to coming back. He practiced this week at the start. I'm surprised they didn't activate him and had him as that emergency QB. Right. That really did surprise me that they didn't do that. But, I mean, it is what it is. 49ers still had a great season for what it's worth because everyone wrote him off in midseason, and then, bam, QB3, Purdy, Mr. Relevant, as you said earlier, Dave, comes in and just runs the table into the NFC Championship game. So that just shows you how good
Evan doing her job for us. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe for us. Evan, just come on and host.
Poor guy's so distraught that he heard Herbert over too, and now he's all in on the show, everything. But no, I want to give you a little backstory. I know we were doing a little review. So Mr. David Drogemeyer and myself used to serve together in the Army in the same unit. I think you were A Company though, right? Were you A Company?
I believe I was in Bravo Company.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. So we were both in Bravo. I was in first. Were you in second?
Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, I was in second.
You were in Sergeant Moto, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. So we were same platoon.
Yeah. Everything
deployed together, downrange Afghanistan. I mean, hey, Listen,
I
we're not
didn't
in the Air
get to.
Force. We don't get hotels and everything.
Yeah,
I didn't get
seriously.
hotels. We just get air conditioned tents.
Golf ranges and everything.
Air conditioned tent. I
Yeah,
swear,
right.
every time I went on TDY, I went to an Air Force base. I was like, "What? Are we at the right place? Is this a resort or is this a
Yes,
military
yes.
installation?"
You weren't at Dover, I can tell you
I was
that
living
much.
in freaking World War II barracks in Germany in Schweinfurt. Like,
What? Oh,
yeah,
no,
literally,
Germany
World War II
was
barracks.
when we went to Germany, that hotel sucked, but it was a blast.
Actually, the base we're at in Schweinfurt got
Yeah.
turned into a bunch of places for refugees that came from Syria, and they destroyed the barracks. Apparently,
Holy
Oh,
hell.
really? Wow.
yeah, they apparently destroyed the barracks, and they were so
Wow.
bad, a couple of them had to get bulldozed down.
Wow.
You guys, we had to rough it, man. That hotel in Germany didn't have air conditioning in February.
Oh
It was
my
crazy.
god.
Listen. I don't want to hear nothing.
Have you ever taken an e-tool and dug your own bed in the middle of the forest? Have you ever done that?
No, because I didn't go to
Of course
survivor
not.
school.
Freaking
I almost
Air
did.
Force. Air Force.
But I was a mechanic, so we got pretty much screwed at everything. I was
Steve,
done.
that's awesome. Three
See,
people
so
in the room.
instead of being smart and getting like an office job where I work like 20 hours a week and get paid the same thing, I was an aircraft mechanic where I work 80 hours a week and got paid the same
So
thing
wait,
as someone working
Do
20.
you work more at that Amazon now as a maintenance mechanic than when you were in the Air Force?
No, God, no. I work in a
bullshit.
building now where I'm like warm, whereas I like couldn't feel my fingers on the cold on the
I
plane.
call bullshit. I think you work more now
Oh,
at Amazon than you did in the military.
God, no. See, my plane I worked on was a piece of shit.
All I picture is Major League, the Cleveland Indians, and you're just duct taping
No,
propellers on.
You guys know what a C5 is, right?
Yes, I know
The
what
biggest
a C5
airplane in the Air Force. That's what I
Yeah.
worked on. Those things leak.
Jesus.
Steve said he's on
Con
barracks.
barracks. Yes. Con and
Yeah.
Ledward.
I am outnumbered here.
It's okay. But yeah, speaking of air conditioning, Dave, I think I remember when we got to Mazar-i Sharif, there was no tent set up for us or nothing. Like, they literally had the platform set up. The air conditioning units were still in the boxes. Like, the Nationals didn't even build anything. They'd be like, here's your tents. You guys got to set them up. Okay, bye.
Yeah, no, yeah, you guys were definitely in a really bad situation. They kind of threw you to the wolves and said, "All right, go ahead and make your own damn camp."
That's what it was. And I'm like, you guys are really sending us to
See, for you guys
No, like
watching,
nothing?
they're upset because they went through all this. They didn't join the Air Force and realized, damn, I couldn't join the Air Force.
No, I definitely could have joined the Air Force. That's for sure. But,
I
you know,
wish I
I
would've.
come from a line of real men who served in the army.
My dad
So-
my dad was a
you,
Marine,
Dave.
so but then he got smart, joined the Air Force, and had a nice
At
easy
least he
rest
was
of his
a Marine.
career.
What happened to you?
So I was like, well, I'm not going to make the same mistake he did and have to eat crowns for 10 years.
Department
I'm
of the
gonna go to
Navy.
Air Force
Yeah.
first.
It made him smart. He joined the Air Force. You know those
then,
crayons.
then I became a knuckle dragger. Like, what the hell am I doing? I'm still an idiot. All
All right.
let's get
No, I
to it.
just
So
want to clear
Dave,
the air that I know Dave from previous years of going out drinking and bar hopping down in Schweinfurt, causing
yeah.
trouble.
The
Yeah,
Rock Corner. Yeah.
Drinking
Rock
in Germany.
Corner, Club
K-Town.
Mad. You got
Yeah.
the Megadrome. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys went to Contra Slotting, right?
K-Town. Oh yeah.
K-Town,
I went,
yeah.
That's where it's at.
Nuremberg.
But before we go into the
Würzburg, yeah.
tangents and stories, there's so many stories that probably aren't good for this show. Let's talk about the news. We got a lot of news going on.
Oh, of course. The biggest. How about D'Amico Ryans?
Awesome for him.
Went to Houston. I love it. Went back to his roots. Went
Mhm.
back to where he played, and he says, "I'm going to turn this team around. I'm going to install my own leadership." I love it. But this is what really pissed me off. Rappaport came out with, "Hey, the Broncos are really trying to get." At the timing these reports both came out, they were trying to go ahead and get D'Amico Ryans. They couldn't convince him to come into Denver. So we're going to settle for Sean Payton. And then Schefter comes in. I'm pretty sure he was trying to save face for Denver Broncos ownership because he came in and said, "Oh, yeah, they didn't want D'Amico Ryans." Really? Because the past 2 weeks, everyone was saying they wanted D'Amico Ryans. And now, granted, I'm not knocking Sean Payton, but for what the Broncos had to give up for him was a first, a second, and then they get a third back. But they have to – basically the Broncos have to give up more draft picks on top of the picks they gave up for Russell Wilson before. So, because I think the first was from the Bradley Chubb trade from Miami. So that's what they had that
Which
for.
originally
So
came
they
from
swung
San
that.
Francisco.
So Sean Payton's going to come in and be like, "Okay, I don't have draft picks till 2026. So guess there's that." And he has Russell, Mr. Limited. Not unlimited, limited.
Oh my god.
I'm really trying to think, what does he see in Russell Wilson? Because I don't care if he played 2 good games at the end. I don't know.
The one thing I will say, I guess,
I'm out on
in
Russell.
that situation with Sean Payton and obviously aging and debilitating Russell Wilson is that he did a really good job of making Drew Brees really productive at the end of his career with the New Orleans Saints and really kind of tailoring that offense to do more rhythm, short throws, more timing throws that still allowed them to move the ball down the football field. So I will say, obviously, Sean Payton has showed that he can work with a quarterback that is, obviously going downhill as far as his physical traits are concerned. And I mean, that's the problem though with the hire is that you have to understand that Russell Wilson is the issue here, right? I mean, the arm strength, the mobility, the ability to feel pressure in the pocket, all of that stuff was severely lacking last year. And I don't know how much better it's going to get because he's going to have to change the way he played quarterback, which, hey, he throws a nice deep ball, he uses that mobility, but he didn't do that enough last year. And it seemed like guys were able to catch up to him a lot easier. And that's only going to get easier and easier as he gets older and older. And for DeMeco Ryans, I like the hire, but you can't help but be hesitant considering the last 2 head coaches that the owner of the Houston Texans hired gave them 1 season. 1 year. I mean, if I'm DeMeco Ryans, why in God's green earth would I want to go to that franchise and try to resurrect it and that be my first audition as a head coach in this league if I don't have an ownership group that truly believes in me? That would give me some pause. They gave him a 6-year deal, but as we all know, what does that really mean in the grand scheme of head coaching contracts anyway? It means nothing.
No, it doesn't mean nothing. The NFL released a report about how much money is being spent and guaranteed to coaches and how much, and they're not even on the team anymore. It came out after Carolina fired their coach. So and then you turn around and Denver fired their coach, which ended up being the right move. But so Dave, you asked, what does Sean Payton see in Denver? Well, let's look outside of Russell Wilson and Dave, you brought up a good point too.
There. I know the
no, I'm not talking about the defense. Look at this team. You got Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Kendall Hinton.
Jerry Jeudy.
You got Albert O. You have
Don't forget the wide receiver 2 that got hurt before the season started.
KJ Hamler. That's what I was thinking.
Patrick.
And then
Patrick.
Yeah. So
Patrick,
and then don't forget, on top of that, you still have the beast of a running backs and Javonte Williams. So there is a lot of pieces for Sean Payton to work with. And Sean Payton could get Russell Wilson playing really well. And to that point, and he runs a more traditional West Coast offense. Russell Wilson was in that more of that Shanahan style offense last year, where he was in more of a traditional West Coast offense his whole entire career before that. So I can see that transition would be back to what Russell was doing before early in his career, which was basically ball control, scramble when needed, make the easy passes, and then run the ball. And Sean Payton, people don't realize, always had an effective run game. People forget about his time with Deuce McAllister and how well they ran the football. Yeah. So I can definitely see that Denver being actually turned around on the offense rather quickly with Sean Payton there. And then the defense has got some pieces.
The defense is definitely real. I think we all know that. But my issue is are you going to be able to get that form of Russell Wilson that's going to allow you to use those weapons? Is he going to be able to move in the pocket? Is he going to be able to evade pressure? Is he going to be able to do some of those things that made him really special in his NFL career? And that's what gives me pause. I don't know how long that marriage specifically is going to last as far as Russell Wilson being the quarterback of the Broncos, and they're kind of hamstrung because they gave him $250 million. So they're going to have to ride this out. I don't know. I was never a fan of that contract, but they're swinging big. That's for sure. They went and got the biggest name on the market to be the head guy. So we'll see how Sean Payton does. It's going to be a tough division for him.
Yeah. They don't have an out for him until 2026, according to Spot Rack. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how this is going to play out for them as far as that goes. So they have to hope that Russell Wilson is the guy, or they're going to have to trade him.
Yeah.
Good luck. The Houston DeMeco Ryans thing, I think with him being a former player and knowing the McNair family, I think he gets 2 years. I think that's
I
when he
hope
gets
so.
at least.
Well, they're
I don't
familiar
think-
with him as a player. They drafted
Yeah.
him too.
That's
So,
what I'm
I
saying.
mean,
I
it's
don't
home for
think.
him.
I don't think they're. If it was because you go look and you got David. What was it? Cully was his last
Mhm.
name.
Yeah.
You got him. You got Lovey.
And I thought
mean,
Coley did a fantastic job with them. They actually
For
looked
what
like
they
a
were both
respectable
given,
team.
for what they were both given, they did the best of what they could. I mean, Davis Mills was an absolute nightmare at quarterback.
Yeah.
Like people,
The
it amazed
giraffe
me.
himself.
God, Jeff Driscoll. He's a running QB. He's basically a poor man's Tim Tebow. Ironically enough, they both came from Florida. Like that's that, but nonetheless, I think they give D'Amico at least 2 years because you've got to come in. They've got these picks from the Browns. You've got 2 picks in the first, so now he can be a part of what he thinks. And I also think this. I think he's going to start building that defense because he got some pieces there. You got Stingley, you got Petrie on the back end. You got the nice Alabama linebacker. I think what was his name? Will Harris, I believe. Isn't that the linebacker that went to Houston? Yeah, I really do like some of the pieces they have there. I think they're going to get rid of the old heads like Jerry Hughes they had last year, old outside linebacker.
Yeah,
I just think that they're going to have to give him some time because you can't make a turd into a gold nugget. There's just no way. Like
he needs more than 2
years.
years too. I mean, this is a serious rebuild. They got to get a true quarterback in there. They need to get some real weapons at wide receiver. I like the running back. I think the running back is definitely Damian Pierce is a guy. He's definitely a dog, but they need
a Senior Bowl last year. He's a real deal.
Yeah, they need a guy to operate that offense, and they need weapons to be able to attack. But I really see this as really honestly a 3 to 4 year kind of situation before the Texans are back into any kind of serious prominence.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
well, Nick Caserio also has to back up his head coach. Like his 2 head coaches have now gone one and done, and he's stayed there. To me, that's a problem.
Yeah.
If you as a GM not going to back up your coaches, you have there, like that's an issue with me. So why wasn't he fired when Cully was there? Why wasn't he fired when Lovey was there? So to me, if D'Amico doesn't work out in 2 to 3 years, he needs to go with him because Nick Caserio was one of that caused that. Deshaun Watson caused his own problems off the field, but the way Caserio handled that situation was horrible.
And not a lot of GMs keep their jobs through multiple head coaches without some type of success. Hire Roseman's on his 3rd head coach. However, he's on his 2nd Super Bowl appearances with that 3rd head coach. So he keeps his job. But when you have a GM that's been through multiple head coaches, at some point you got to say you can't keep blaming these coaches. There's no such thing as a magic system, magic coaching, this and that. Like there's no such thing as that. You have to have the right players, and if you don't do that, you're out. So I mean, I agree. And Caserio, I think, kind of really handicapped himself by firing Cully in the first place. And then he kind of all right, I'll just hire Lovie Smith. Like I didn't understand why not just keep Cully? I have nothing wrong with Lovie Smith. I love Lovie Smith, but Cully did just a great job for what he was given. Why not just give him another year? And if he fails like Lovie did, then all right, fire him and hire someone younger.
Well, how could you expect? What is the reasonable expectation for success in that situation? What do you have to work with? Like
nothing.
Like just legitimately asking this question before when David Culley took over. What are you expecting from him? He has no weapons on offense. He has nothing on defense. They're getting blown out week after week after week. What does he have to actually get any kind of wins with, any kind of momentum? Yeah. It's a really bad situation to be in.
Like he's got some young pieces, like
now he does.
Jordan.
Now they,
but he had guys like Philip Dorsett, Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks has been consistently
very great.
Cooks is great,
right? But he's going to get
fantastic.
Well, like Amari Rodgers, Chris Moore, Philip Dorsett, all these guys are cast-offs. OJ Howard, like what did you like? And I'm nothing wrong with these guys, like personally, but these guys were cast off from their other teams. What are they expecting to do? Like, and I don't want to really get too far into this.
Yeah.
But Brian Flores refused to tank, and he won as many games as he could.
Yeah.
Why? Because black head coaches don't get many chances in the NFL. That's just the way it is. Lovie Smith got 3 chances, and he might not get another chance now. So you only get so many chances before, and they get less chances. So, I mean, for David Culley, that sucks for him. Lovie Smith, he's at least had some time. But, like D'Amico Ryan's, like it's risky taking this job. Luckily, he knows the ownership, has a relationship with them, so maybe it's good for him. but like I wouldn't have wanted to lose either, and it was just such a risky job to take. So hopefully they are patient with him and do give him time, because if he fails, what's his future like? I mean, another DC job again. Yeah. So I mean, like Flores should be hired right away, and if D'Amico Ryans doesn't work out a year or two, my feeling is he's going to have that. I think he's going to be respected right away after this year. I think people are going to go, whoa, this guy's a real deal. He's the next bright young head coach. In my opinion, he's just that guy. He's one of those guys that prepares coaching how he played, because he was slower. He was a little bit undersized, but he played really well because he prepared like every game was a Super Bowl to him. So like he was always prepared. He always knew what was going on. And he coaches that way too. His defense is always prepared. And people don't realize how many injuries that 49ers defense has faced and still one of the best defense in the NFL. So, I think this was a risky job, but at the same time, it feels like a good fit if him and Nick Caserio can put the pieces together.
Well, plus J.J. Watt, one of the biggest Texans, probably the best Texan of all time, went ahead and vouched for his brother-in-arms he used to play with, and that's a huge endorsement, especially to the ownership and McNair's, who already know D'Amico off of that. So, like, you've got to think he's got multiple backings of endorsements there as a coach, as a player, everything of what he's about. I mean, he's one of those coaches that go in and demands respect, and he'll give it back if he gets it. He's not one of those guys that tries to do the players coaches thing where he's like, hey, I'll be your buddy, whatever. He goes in and he's going to command the room when he's there in Houston with whoever on the field, whoever's in the locker room, film room, anything. So I like the fit too. I just hope they do give him the 2 to 3 years.
I 100% agree with you. And we'll see what happens. I mean,
so we got more though. The 49ers are eyeing Chris Harris and Steve Wilkes as their defensive coordinator spots right now.
And Vic Fangio.
They add.
Fangio still has
I was going to ask that. I was going to ask that next thing. So Fangio was on the list, but Fangio is supposedly going to Panthers, and then all of a sudden that changed. Now he apparently agreed to go to Miami. What's happening with it, Brett? So where's he going?
We don't know. I mean, you can give me a die and I'll just roll it. I mean, so what I understand is from Justina Anderson had just posted or tweeted that the 49ers, the list of guys you just mentioned, Vic Fangio is supposed to interview as well. And he agreed to terms. However, Mike Silver and Dan Kliss, I think his name is, both of them from Denver had talked to Vic Fangio personally, and he said, nothing's agreed upon yet. Yeah. So no one knows. So
where did that jump of agreement come to? Like, where did that come from? Miami tried to boost him into the spot?
Oh, shoot.
Uh-oh. What do you do?
I got it. You got me?
We still heard you.
So I don't know, because the report came from Tom Pelissero, who's on NFL Network. So, like, it's not like them to report falsely. So I don't know.
Very rarely that both of those do.
Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure where that came from. But it might
be McDaniels did too much vaping on the pen and was like, "Hey, we hired Vic, guys."
But then you ask yourself this question, though. All right, so I made a joke on Twitter just before the other show that this is like asking a girl to prom and then her saying, "Well, let me see what my other suitors are." And I would joke that I was that guy, but I don't want to go down memory lane. So you talk about that, like. How do you feel as like Desai and some of these other guys that are looking for a defense coordinator job for the Dolphins? They say, "Oh, well, he renegotiated with them and he pulled out of the contract, so we'll go with you now." Like, I don't know.
Well, that's why you got to pay attention to the details. The agreed to terms, that doesn't mean anything until pen is on paper.
Bingo.
Right. So that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line, point blank, period. If you don't put pen to paper, nothing is set in stone. So I think that's more of what that situation was, is maybe they had initially agreed verbally to terms, but, that pen never got to that paper, and so nothing ever became official.
No, yeah, and that's the thing is, I just said the name, Anthony Barr. Like, he supposedly agreed to terms all these years, guaranteed money to the Jets, and he goes, what? He probably went and looked at the Jets locker room and saw the roster and was like, nope. Went back.
On second thought,
hey,
no,
guys,
thanks.
I'm back. The agreed to terms, it does bother me because you like to see that have signed the contract, because it always worries me. Players can pull that thing, coaches can pull that same line, and then you're like,
Ryan Clark did it a few years back, and it was just a negotiation ploy because everybody knew the whole thing in Miami. They're willing to just blow money in free agency, had all this cap space, and that's become a thing with different teams where they got cap space. I'm going there to sign. And the other team's like, all right, hold up. We'll meet your demands. You come back here. We'll sign it. So it's negotiation play. I can't blame the guy 64. Get your bag while you can out of it. But then again, it was supposed to be the highest paid defense coordinator ever, which is insane, but it's not my money.
Man, I just think, you know what, as a Packers fan and seeing the Bears with all that cap money, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to point and laugh whenever I see all these players use them as a tactical. All these players, we're rumored to go there, Oh, they agreed to terms. And then 7 out of 8 of them go, they re-signed with their older team. They signed with this other team. Plus, also, it's a bad free agency class when you look at it overall. That's another thing that still is people aren't realizing. This is a really
that's bad for teams that are like in desperation mode. So teams that are like, well, we got to get over that hump.
Yeah,
that's bad for them. Teams that are worried about like falling behind in their division, it's like, well, I'm going to start blowing money. They're going to start overpaying for guys. And of course, we laughed at the Jaguars for Christian Kirk, and they made the playoffs. So I mean, what do we know anyway?
So I got to ask this: so the coaching hire, supposedly, and I'm not the biggest fan of him. Dave, how do you feel about Kellen Moore? Because Kellen Moore is. I wasn't a big fan of him in Dallas. There was a lot of talent there, and it seems like he wasn't using it properly. And I'm like, is this going to be the same scenario in the Chargers?
Well, I don't know how you could say that, because if you look at the offensive numbers, I mean, it's very, very impressive. I mean, he authored the #1 offense in the NFL in 2021, did the same thing in 2019, is a guy that has had great passing numbers and good rushing numbers. And I think one of the reasons why the Chargers wanted to let go of their offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, was that the Chargers had the 30th ranked rushing offense in the league. There was no balance on that offense.
Travesty with us, Austin Eckler too.
Yeah, and you had Austin Eckler, a guy who has scored 38 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons.
Such a beast.
He's a monster. He's a scoring machine, but he can't do it all by himself.
Agreed.
And that's the same thing with Justin Herbert. You know what makes a play action or a passing game more effective? A really good, believable running game, because they have to account for that. They can't just sit back and take away the deep part of the field. They have to respect the run. And then when you gash them in the running game, you play action off of that. And you have a guy that, is extremely accurate, very athletic, can throw on the run. You can really get creative with that type of arm strength. So if you're Kellen Moore, going from a situation where he was under 2 offensive head coaches, Jason Garrett and then Mike McCarthy, he can't really say, hey, I'm the only one who orchestrated this offense. This is all on me. All this success is of my doing. And now he gets to go to Los Angeles, where he gets to work with Justin Herbert, who I think we can agree is an upgrade over Dak, right?
Oh, yes. I'll say that all day long.
You go from an offensive head coach to a defensive head coach, where he's going to have carte blanche to run the offense as he sees fit. Now, this is a guy who has already received head coaching interviews, so he's very highly respected in the league. Like I said, he has the numbers to back it up. So I like the hire. I think this is a very unique situation where you have a young up-and-coming coach that has several years of play calling experience. So I like the hire. We'll see how it actually unfolds for the Chargers, because they're in that window where they have a young, very successful quarterback on a rookie contract, and they have to get the most out of him. And I think it's clear to me, having been very, very close to this team and watched all of their games, that they are nowhere near getting the most out of Justin Herbert. And so that's why this hire was so very important to make sure they get right.
I'm gonna take you for the word it's worth, because when I saw it in Dallas, and what bothered me is when they have a 38-21 lead, and they're going into the fourth quarter, and you got Zeke and Pollard in the backfield, and you're trying to pass the ball with Dak. That's my biggest issue. Is and I know McCarthy had fault in this too, but it's just why are you trying to pass the ball, drain the clock, move the ball down the field, what you're good at, use your tight ends, but it's like. For some reason, Dak was getting in this tunnel vision from play calling, and the thing is, they were so predictable. It was run, pass, run, pass. There was no switch up. There was the play action you knew was coming on 3rd down, because it was either 3rd and long or 3rd and 8, somewhere in there, and it's just it never was any variety. So I got to see how he calls plays and sets up this offense in Los Angeles, because you got Keenan Allen, you got Mike Williams. Is Mike Williams a free agent?
No, he is under contract.
Okay,
He signed
all
a 3-year contract last
That's
offseason.
right. Yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And then
I was going to
also,
say that, but I wasn't 100%.
Gerald Everett proved me wrong. I thought he wasn't worth a drop in a salad after that, but guess what? He proved me wrong. He looked good out there in LA, and with the catching ability he had, DeAndre Carter, Josh Palmer, you've got all this talent. Austin Eckler too. Joshua Kelly as the backup. I just think if you can't produce with this great offense, like in the times of the crunch times, and then you can't do it with this one on top of it, to me, there's some big question marks. So, but I'll take your word for it because I know you're a Chargers guy, and I want to see. Moore's clearly shown he's got good game plans to set up. We saw that versus the Bucs.
Yeah.
Like that was his. You saw him smile on the sidelines because he goes, "Yep, this is me. Yep, this is my
he
doing."
can get really creative.
Yeah.
But the thing is it gets generic, and that's where I wanted to see that go away because you got to be on your toes all the time because defensive coordinators like D'Amico Ryans, he'll adjust on a dime after one play happens, and he goes, "All right, he's going to be targeting that tight end the whole game. We're going to switch that safety over top of him and drop a linebacker in the box right underneath." Like just stuff like that. And I feel like I got to see him adjust rather than stick to his game plan because that's what makes him coordinators.
The reasons why the Chargers got rid of Joe Lombardi is that they were not very good in the red zone. The Cowboys were fantastic in the red zone. Okay, they were phenomenal in the red zone. The Chargers were very, very, very bad at running the football. The Cowboys have been fantastic running the football under Kellen Moore, his 4 years as the offensive coordinator. The Chargers were horrible in the second half of games scoring points. The Dallas Cowboys were one of the best teams in the league scoring points in the second half of games. So it just, you see all of these different things translate to the Chargers deficiencies where he has said, hey, I have a track record of success in all of these areas. And now I'm going to be able to do this with Justin Herbert at quarterback.
Well, let me throw something in here. So now I'm going to take out. Hang on 1 second here. So the Chargers. Let's talk about that. No balance, right?
Yeah.
Justin Herbert threw the ball 699 times last year. Yeah. The team themselves threw 711 times. They ran the ball 404, but 54 of that was Justin Herbert. So outside of the quarterback, so let's take Justin Herbert out of that.
A lot of percentage towards the QB.
350 rushes compared to 700 passes. They literally ran the ball half as many times as they throw it. And that's not counting Herbert, and the reason to take quarterback out because a lot of those are ad-libbed and scrambled.
Sure.
So Dallas, let's look at that. They ran the ball 530 times.
I already know that it's 52 to 40. It's 52 to 48.
There you go. So like
I know
it's completely like it's a lot more balanced to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now the devil's advocate here, I'll play with that is the talent at running back difference. Now, Eckler's a fantastic back, right? He's good. He does a great job. But after that, who steps up to the 1-2 punch? They had a good 1-2 punch in Dallas, I think, really kind of because Zeke kind of like take a step back, but Pollard has been a beast. So like if they can add a beast with Eckler, I think that'd be like give him a 1-2 punch. I mean, because Eckler's already a beast. We give that a 1-2 punch. I think that would actually help more out with the play calling. But I get what Dave's saying. He does get vanilla. Sometimes he does throttle back. However, it is an upgrade over Joe Lombardi. But passing game, I'm really looking forward to Justin Herbert in that passing attack.
Well, the average depth of target for Justin Herbert last year was around 6.3. For Dak Prescott, it was over 8. So that's just a huge, huge difference. Way too many short passes, way too many stick routes. You talk about predictable play calling. At least Kellen Moore was targeting deeper down the football field. So you had shorter second and third down opportunities to continue to move the chains. Way too many times the Chargers were in those 2nd and 8, 3rd and 9 situations where it's really hard to convert and you have to really shrink your playbook because there's not as many plays that you can go to where you can guarantee yourself 10 yards and a conversion. So I like better success on early downs. And I think one of the big emphasis for the Chargers organization is they want to run the football a lot better. Kellen Moore has authored a offense that has been able to do that. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it seems to me like this was a fit they were very smitten on because they made him their offensive coordinator not even 24 hours after he and the Cowboys mutually agreed to part ways.
Yeah. I go back to my theory before. I've said, and I've got this from someone else who used to coach. There's no such thing as magic systems. It's all about players.
Absolutely.
I mean, coaches know how to develop and call plays. Calling plays is an art. Like Joe Lombardi could sit there and probably throw X's and O's up, and he's probably brilliant. But calling plays is very difficult.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part. But there's no such thing as a magic system. And Joe Lombardi's system might work. Maybe he just struggles calling plays, but it's all about the players. And at the end of the day, I do think Dallas has talent, but I wonder how much Dak holds that offense back passing wise. And I know it sounds crazy because he's had success, but how much does he hold it back? So that's the big thing. And Justin Herbert, it just opens up the offense. I don't think people realize if Justin Herbert wasn't on the field, how bad that offense would probably be without him. Not that they don't have talent there, just it wouldn't go without him. How much he ad libs, how much his ability to see over the line of scrimmage, run, find a check downs, find a player. You know, the throws he makes, even with those the rib contusion, he made a few throws. I'm like, that hurts my ribs because I know the torque he had to put on that. Like Jesus, like I've been impressed with him since college with his ability to throw the ball. Yeah, and his toughness should be no question about his toughness. So I'm looking forward to see what he does with Kellen Moore, and maybe that's a good 1-2 punch with those two, like they work off each other.
And Kellen Moore has all the incentive in the world to do well because he is going to be the guy calling the shots. And if he is the guy that is able to unlock the full potential of Justin Herbert and this Chargers offense, he is going to get a head coaching opportunity very, very soon thereafter.
Very true. Yeah. And that division, Sean Payton's now in the division. Mike McDaniels is in that division, or Josh McDaniels is in that division. Sorry, it's too many names.
He wants to send Mike McDaniels away. That's how much Brett doesn't like.
Even saying the name correctly. Who? I mean, Josh McDaniels is not a guy I am intimidated by in the.
I don't know as a head coach.
He's the worst head coach in the history of the NFL.
I don't know if he's a good head coach, but he's a fantastic offensive coordinator. But like
that, I agree with
all these offensive minds in that same conference or that same division. Obviously, Andy Reid, who's one of the greatest we've watched.
Yeah,
so
definitely,
Kellen Moore is really going to have to be on his game, and there's a couple good defenses in that division.
For sure. Ready for Brady to come to Las Vegas and do the old PB&J routine with Josh McDaniels? Just saying.
I'm ready for Tom Brady to retire and never show his face in the public eye ever again. That's what I'm ready for.
That's how you really feel, Dave.
He's going to Miami as an owner.
Great.
Actually,
I mean, show him on the vignettes in the owner's box.
I'd be all about that.
On every single Miami Dolphins game. I could care less as long as he is no longer on the football field.
I think we all feel that way. Like, we get it, Tom. You're great.
I missed you, Dave. Good
take your trophies and go on.
Just go home.
Do you know how much banter in the DFAT cafeteria Dave and I used to just give each other? Like, if the Packers lost, I'd be like, shit, I don't want to see him. And then he would just walk by the table like, nope, not have this conversation.
He wasn't even alive to me when the Chargers lost because I knew I was going to get my ass handed to me later. He was going to make sure I fucking knew.
Chargers are going to get the dub. Chargers are going to get the dub. So finally, I'm like, oh man, where's Drogue? All right,
yeah.
There he is in line.
About face.
Good buddy of mine from the Air Force is a Chargers fan, man. So that Saturday night game, I was like, this is gonna suck. I just knew we were gonna lose. I'm like, this is gonna suck. And he's messaging me. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. But he was actually when he was talking shit. He's like, I can't. He saw Tua's like 3 for 15. He's like, I just feel bad.
That was rough.
I'm not gonna tell you.
It was one thing for the Chargers to beat the Dolphins, but for Tua to look that bad. Oh man.
Bro, Waddle was running 40 yards downfield and the ball fell short like 20 yards twice. And I'm like,
well, even the one big touchdown that he did get to Tyreek, if our corner didn't trip and fall, that probably would have got intercepted.
Well, that fumble for the touchdown was like, oh my God,
what the hell was that I have ever seen in my life. So, but I mean, how do you let that closer than it should have been? How do you let the fastest dude in the NFL pick up the ball? I mean, after that, it's like,
on the side of the
dude, what the heck am I supposed to do?
Every time I see that score, I'm like, thank God for a crazy ass play that you see once in a lifetime because this would have been a lopsided loss.
He was just standing there on the side of the pile. I remember watching the highlight. He's just looking at it.
He's like,
the ball just shows up in front of him. Like, oh shit! All right, cool. It just runs off, and you just see about 20 guys just like, where's the football? By the time Tyreek's in the end zone,
he's already going.
Yeah, for real. Dude.
It's all slow mo. No.
All right, enough about Herbert. Enough about the tuna. Enough about Brett's love for Tua Tagovailoa.
But hey, hopefully he gets better though, man. For real, he's got to take care of his mental health.
Yes.
On the serious note.
I got to come up with an agenda for 2024 because I don't see it happening. I mean, he's got to stay healthy, man. That's the biggest thing for him.
Listen,
availability, man, is the best ability.
Right.
But I don't even care about football right now. I want him to be healthy to live a normal life outside.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
These concussions are so serious, and he's gotten 3 in then 1 season.
Yeah, then you got to count his ankle surgeries, his hip surgery,
right?
And don't forget he got a concussion and a broken nose when he hurt his hip. So I mean,
what about the hurt back, but he had a concussion.
Right, and his broken rib broke 2 of his fingers.
Guys, why do you not see a lot of small quarterbacks in the NFL? Because this is a violent ass
Tyler,
game, guys.
Yeah.
There's another one.
You get hurt, you got to be able to take the hits, and you got to have that longevity to be on the field to be successful. And if you can't do it, you're not going to last in this league. It's just the fact of the matter.
Well, look at Brett Favre got addicted to painkillers because he was so beat up. Ben Roethlisberger.
He was a white country redneck. Listen, I love Favre to death, but that's what white country rednecks do. They're out cooking meth, getting addicted to pills. Okay, they're swindling.
Hey, it was your quarterback. You would know.
Listen, I love the Packers because I grew up watching Favre. He was my favorite player, but to come to light and be an adult and seeing the crap he did back in the day to go to rehab, and then how about sending dick pics to the Jets training staff, and then literally almost cheating on his wife, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Dan, don't you worry about it. It's okay. I didn't do anything. Didn't look at her. Didn't look at her while I made." What?
So I mean, speaking of dick pics, I mean Ben Roethlisberger, how beat up he was throughout his career, and he called.
Yeah, not to mention his allegations.
Right.
I mean, all the hotel maids he beat up after he drugged them. Yeah.
No, I mean, like, look how beat up he was at the end of his career. Matt Stafford, is it too late for him? I mean, he played through that elbow injury, so it's like, it's a brutal game, man.
Back and elbow,
he might be done.
So, but we got the big game coming up.
We have Super Bowl to discuss.
Yes, and I grew up in Philly country, and now I'm kind of considered Baltimore country, way Delaware, so whatever.
No,
so
you're stuck with it.
I hear the Eagles spelling something about certain cities like to spell their mascots. I got to talk to their education system. So you got the Eagles always like they're ready to win, and they have a hell of a football team. Nick Sirianni apparently was fired by Andy Reid when he took the job in Kansas City. Doug Peterson was Andy Reid's understudy, won a Super Bowl in Philly. Obviously, Andy Reid's history in Philly. So we have a lot of history here. The Kelsey brothers. This is going to be an interesting game. So, Dave, let's start with you. What, as a Chargers guy, I know you got like seeing the Chiefs and Eagles. How do you see this game? And who?
Yeah. So looking at these two teams, I think the Eagles are stacked, man, on both sides of the ball. They have a tremendous defensive line. They have some really aggressive and quality pass rushers. They have really high quality corners. They have good safety play. They have really good linebackers. Their offense is fantastic. They can run the ball so incredibly well. They're very diverse with their rushing attack.
Yes.
And because they're so aggressive and they're so productive with that rushing attack, it makes Jalen Hurts that much more effective when he has the weapons he has now. I mean, getting him A.J. Brown was a huge boon, a huge win. And you see that with a lot of these young quarterbacks or just any of these productive quarterbacks. They all have their number one guy. You know, you got your Jamar Chases, you got your Justin Jeffersons, you got your Cooper Kupps, you got your number one wide receivers that are making you that much more productive. I think you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they're like a cockroach, man. They're a really, really hard team to put away.
No division rivalry.
No, of course there is. I hate the Chiefs, but considering the draft and the Justin Herbert draft here, I don't want Jalen Hurts to win a championship before Justin Herbert does. So I'd much rather just see Patrick Mahomes win another one and be the end of it. But in all seriousness, guys, I think this Eagles team has too much momentum. I think they're too stacked on both sides of the ball. I think they are going to win and beat the Chiefs. I'll give you a score prediction here. I am going to go 30-24. Eagles win the Super Bowl this year.
Eagles' last 3 opponents, they've held them to 7 points each.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And they do it again?
And let me tell you something. Something that was just brought to me by a buddy of mine at work. 4 players. He said 3, but I didn't find another one. I can't remember all of them. Only 4 players from that Super Bowl team from 2018. 4 players from 2018, and they turned it around. Different quarterback, different. Yeah. I think Lane Johnson's the only returning offensive lineman. Boston Scott. I forgot a couple of the other ones. That's it. So they only returned 3 to 4 players from that Super Bowl, and here they are again. Harry Roseman has done a fantastic job with that team.
Yeah.
And you're right. You're absolutely right. They are a stacked team. Their front seven is, Dave and I talked about this, one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
And somehow they're still one of the most underrated front sevens in the NFL. I love their head coach. He's a spark plug, man. He is on fire. He coaches with fire. The team plays like that. And you mentioned AJ Brown. He is the epitome of like Philadelphia. He's that tough, physical guy. He's a fit for that city, like Terrell Owens was back in the day there. And I love it. And actually, as a guy who was a big fan of Hurts, I felt like he didn't get respected in that quarterback class enough. I don't think he got the respect he deserves. And
he got drafted in the second round. Yeah.
Yeah. And you see what he's doing. He's every year he's getting better. He's adding an element to his game. And yeah, there's still some limitations to his game, but you'll never see him rattled. The biggest stage in the world. And you're not going to see him rattled in the Super Bowl. On the flip side, your point about the cockroach. I mean, they lost their best player in Tyreek Hill. Well, one of their best players. They still have Travis Kelce, who's a fantastic.
Yeah, but Tyreek was that 1A, 1B on that offense to what he meant to.
Yeah, right. So, but yet that Bachero, he is a fantastic find. The run game is just working.
Yeah,
their offensive line's working. Their linebackers play with reckless abandon, and boy, did that front seven step up against the Bengals. That was not
Chris
an
Jones
easy
is a beast, man. He's one of the best D linemen in the league for sure.
And the way that they stepped up against an elite offense like that, a very good offense, that was impressive. I'm looking forward to this to be a slugfest. Andy Reid has something to coach for. Like, obviously, he led Philly to 4 championships in a row and was in every game, and then finally got to the Super Bowl. They were in that game and lost. They had a hell of a game plan. Terrell Owens with one leg, and they lost a tight one. I mean, and then he gets his Super Bowl win. He's been back, three times since? So he's been to 4 total Super Bowls. I don't think Andy Reid wants to go with a losing record. I think he wants to go 500 here. This is tough.
Of course he does.
I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs, though. I think the Chiefs are going to win 27-24.
Yeah.
I am going to go with Kansas City, and I'm going to explain why. It's the fact that the cockroach aspect, but also a different angle on this. They have guys that you really haven't heard on some defensive positions, or maybe some offensive guys. Most of us know who Andrew Wiley is, more of the guys who pay attention to stuff, but just a lot of the regular fans don't know who he is and a lot of the work he does in the offense on the offensive line, or they forget that Orlando Brown's there and the way he plays. I mean, it's just a lot of Sky Moore, the rookie, you got to look at this as Mahomes lost Tyreek. Excuse me. He lost McCole Hardman to injury throughout the season. Who was the other receiver that went over to the Ravens? They also lost him too. I can't remember. There was another receiver for Kansas City that went over. They lost another. Yeah, but they replaced him with Sky Moore. They traded for Kadarius Toney. They added Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They basically had Juju Smith-Schuster. They basically added a whole new wide receiver room. And Mahomes went in with a team with Joe Burrow. He's never beaten at Kansas City. He was 0-3 versus this team.
Which is just insane.
Did it on one ankle, and he was out there slinging the ball. But the biggest thing in all of football that still boggles my freaking mind, how is Travis Kelce standing there 15 yards wide open? Defensive coordinators, I feel like, this would be the catalyst of every offense. Forget about 15. Forget about number 11. Focus on 87. He's going to be the focus of the play. Every freaking third down, you see Travis Kelce standing there. No DBs around him. No linebackers. And I'm like, are people allergic to him? Is he not showered? Does he stink that bad? I don't know what the hell. How is he open this much? And people say, oh, the routes are so good. No. Kelce is an amazing player, but the fact his knowledge is, I feel like it's where he sits there, goes and finds these soft spots in these defenses, and he recognizes it in that first drive of when they usually go down, if they turn the ball over, whatever. He sees it, and he's so smart of a player. He'll go there, and every single drive, he'll abandon his route, and he will sit in that soft spot at about 10 to 15 yards. And it's like defenses can't adjust to it because whatever scheme they try to adjust or make any adjustments with a defensive coordinator, he still finds another hole. Like he's almost like another quarterback to Mahomes because of how smart he is on this offense and what he means to the team around him. So I feel like even though the Eagles have an amazing defense, even though the amazing defense that the Eagles have and the linebackers and TJ Edwards and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at the safety position, like I feel like they still haven't faced a player like Kelsey yet in this type of high environment. Like,
are they going to be able to stop the Eagles' rushing attack, though? Are they going to be able to get the football? They're going to be able to get their defense off the football field long enough to score enough points, because the Eagles can pound that ball and control it and keep it away from Patrick Mahomes.
Chris Jones and Willie Gay have been those different makers last week, and Joe Mixon's a hell of a running back.
But this kind of reminds me of. Sorry, David, I don't want to cut you off. It kind of reminds me. You remember the Colts a few years ago? Not a few years ago. When they won the Super Bowl, their defense was like, man, they can't do this. They went against the Chiefs, and Larry Johnson's coming to town. People like me were like, oh, Larry Johnson's going to run all over him. Shut him down. And they go, I think the Ravens next week, and they shut them down. That defense all of a sudden became a unit. What's kind of reminding me of that with the Chiefs, like all of a sudden that defense like showed up and just stonewalled the Bengals. I'm wondering if they could do something very similar against the Eagles, and the Eagles' rushing attack's a little better.
Much better. Yeah.
But I mean, they were still able to stonewall and stop Mixon. However, the flip side of it, if the Chiefs can get off to a hot start too, it does change the game plan of the Eagles, where they might not run as much too if they get out to a lead. So, but
defensive coordinator, that's another thing. Steve Spagnuolo. This is where I look at it. Remember the Giants run. Remember the Giants runs against the Patriots and all these other teams they weren't supposed to beat. A lot of the times before we heard of these guys that got big names later on in their careers, when they were rookies or younger, we didn't even know who O.C. Umenyiora was. We didn't know who Justin Tuck. We knew of them later on after they won the Super Bowl, but we didn't. A lot of people didn't know those names yet when they went on that run, besides guys like Michael Strahan, because when they were younger, they had those players. It's just, I feel like this is that type of team that Spagnuolo is going to get these guys to band together, and it just ends up working out. And then people always forget about Frank Clark, one of the best edge rushers in the game, and he is also very smart on the edge.
Showed up driving Eleanor.
Wow.
I see him.
Lightning bolt shows up.
I'm sorry, man. I see him twice a year. He's completely evaporated in more games that I have seen him in. He has not played anywhere close to that contract that they have given him. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like their rookie George Karlaftis is more effective as a pass rusher than Frank Clark is. I'm not going to lie.
Karlaftis has been pretty good, but
I'm not a fan of Karlaftis.
I still think Frank Clark. I get what you're saying about Frank Clark, where he's not like a take over the game, but he is definitely somebody to.
But not just on the pass, the run. Run. He's also like with the Bengals in that game last week. When we watched him get flat passes put out on the edge by him, he was out tackling wide receivers where he shouldn't have been. But his IQ has been like, all right, I've seen this before with this team because they played him so many times in the past couple of years. They know this play of that playbook. So they're like, nope, we're not letting the screen go. And you saw him go tackle Tyler Boyd out there. It's not just the pass, it's the run. It's those type of players that, like Preston Smith for the Packers. That's why he's so good against the run. He's good against the pass, but he's very good against the run. That's why I love those type of players to set that edge. But like you said, Dave, are they going to be able to stop the front offensive line that's going to be full force and the running game for Philly? Like it's a whole, and plus biggest storyline in this game. The Kelsey brothers are one of the funnest brother pairings in all of football. Their podcast is amazing. They do holiday songs together.
Yeah.
I'm really going to love this one because whether or not Jason wins it or not, he's going to retire. He said this is his last year.
Oh, he's done? Okay.
Yeah. He said during the middle of the season that this is his last year. He said that last year too, but And
what a hell of a center, man. And somehow
he's been great.
That's Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, been under the radar as a Hall of Fame center his entire career. Like, and he doesn't want the accolades, doesn't want the attention.
It's such an unglorified position anywhere on the offensive line. These are the guys when you don't hear their name, they're playing good football. So it's just, it's one of those situations, where they just don't get the glory. You don't hear about the great guards. You don't hear about the great centers because they're doing their job down in and down out. That's what he's done his entire career. He's been a fantastic player in this league. There's no doubt.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you don't hear their name, especially at center, they're doing
Dave,
their
I'm taking the Chiefs. I know you don't want me to hear
No,
me
you're
say
good.
that. I'm going to say, but I don't think it's going to. I think in the first half, it's going to be a little bit more of a defensive, like, hey, we're going to try this and do this.
Feel it
against
out type of game, sure.
Yeah. Then the second half is when the fireworks start. I think we're going to see deep passes all over the place. I think you're going to see Jalen go on some runs. I think you're going to see Mahomes out there doing some trick. You know what? Andy Reid facing his former team, I can see him doing something like 5 trick plays in this game. I'm talking about like
well, can they do the trick plays with Patrick Mahomes in the ankle situation?
Sure,
that's
he's got something dialed up. I mean, it's right next to the hamburger menu.
And that's so. I'll just
he loves
one
his
more
hot
thing
dogs.
before we wrap it up. Like
36-35 Chiefs. Harrison Butker puts up a last-minute field goal to win it.
Oh, I like it. Okay, so we all got a close game at least. I mean, it's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be a fun Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to an energetic Super Bowl. We already know there's so many storylines in this one. Andy Reid, with his team that gave him the start that he had so much success with, and maybe like really cement his legacy as one of the greatest coaches ever by winning another Super Bowl. However, getting to 4 alone, taking 2 different teams to Super Bowl is already legacy enough. I think I figured out he's been to 10 different championship games. I think it's 4 and 6. So just incredible career for him. Sirianni, who was fired by him, the Kelsey brothers. It's just incredible storylines. I'm looking forward to it. And it's going to be exciting to watch. I'm really different teams than we're used to seeing. So this is exciting for us. It's Super Bowl. Well, it's not Super Bowl week yet, but leading up to the Super Bowl, I'm ready.
Senior Bowl.
Yes. Senior Bowl. We can start breaking down some film on that, start getting into the draft. I'm behind this year. Next year, be on top of it, and hopefully be there next year.
The guy that supposedly made the big news today, I mean, I've already been scouting him anyways, but was DeJuan Jones out of Ohio State. The guy's a monster, 6'8", 350 pounds, I think, and he has an 89.5-inch wingspan.
Yeah. His lower body's got to get
an albatross.
His lower body's got to get a little better base, but I mean he's got all the potential in the world to be a.
But that's what makes up for it with his lower body. He's got these freaking wings that just come out and they're like, like Isaiah Foskey today, 1-on-1 drill. They were going at it, and Foskey's a beast off the edge.
He took him down,
dude. Freaking! There's not many people that can take Isaiah Foskey at 260 pounds and throw him in the dirt like a child.
But it's gonna be fun. We'll start getting to that here soon after the Super Bowl. So,
sorry, folks, I'm a drafty nut. Love it.
All right, Dave's excited. Dave.
I'm a Packers fan. I have nothing to look forward.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you tune into his show for Locked On Chargers, and all those shows are great as well. But please subscribe, share with your friends on Fitz Talk Sports Network. We are a sports network. We have it all. We're working on building it all up. Guys, to everybody that tuned in, Steve, Evan, Josh, thank you so much. Till next week. Good night.